Before God blesses you, He will separate you. Lesson 1. Reaching your potential. The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. This revelation is what I call the strangest secret, the fact that we literally become what we think about all day long. Look around you. Have you ever wondered why so few people, roughly 6, achieve extraordinary success while the rest struggle through life, never quite reaching their potential? The answer lies not in talent or opportunity, but in something far more fundamental: the power of directed thought. Your mind is like a fertile garden. Every thought you plant takes root and grows, manifesting eventually in the circumstances of your life. Plant seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation, and your life will bear that fruit in abundance. But cultivate thoughts of possibility, growth, and achievement, and your life will transform accordingly. This separation between those who harness this power and those who remain ignorant of it marks the first great divide on the path to blessing. Before God blesses you, He will separate you from the crowd mentality that accepts mediocrity as its lot in life. Consider the average person's thought patterns. From morning till night, they dwell on problems, limitations, and fears. Their mental diet consists of worry, doubt, and negative expectations. Is it any wonder their lives reflect these very conditions? They have, unknowingly, programmed themselves for exactly the results they're getting. But you can choose differently. Starting today, you can begin a 30-day mental diet that will set you apart from the masses. Commit to feeding your mind only thoughts that align with your highest aspirations. Guard the garden of your mind vigilantly against weeds of negativity. When a thought of doubt or fear appears, replace it immediately with one of faith and courage. This separation, this deliberate choosing of your mental focus, may feel strange at first. Friends may not understand your new outlook. Old habits will resist change. This is natural. The process of separation is rarely comfortable, but it is always necessary for transformation. Think of a ship at sea. With even a 1-degree change in direction, given enough time, that vessel will arrive at an entirely different destination. Your thoughts work the same way. Small, consistent changes in your thinking today will create massive differences in your circumstances tomorrow. What we think about consistently, we become. This is both a warning and a promise. It means we cannot blame circumstances or other people for our conditions. It also means we possess the most powerful creative force in the universe, the ability to direct our thoughts towards specific outcomes. Before God can elevate you, you must separate yourself from common thinking. Before abundance can flow into your life, you must distinguish your mind from the scarcity mentality that plagues most people. This separation isn't about superiority. It's about clarity of purpose. Begin today. Choose one goal that excites you. Think about it clearly. See it completed in your mind. Feel the emotions of having already achieved it. Do this consistently, and watch as the strangest secret begins working in your life, separating you from limitation and preparing you for blessing beyond measure. Lesson 2. Worthy of abundance. The greatest tragedy in life is not that we aim too high and miss, but that we aim too low and hit. I've observed this truth across thousands of lives. People who settle for mere existence, when abundance was their birthright all along. You see, your self-image operates like a thermostat, setting the upper and lower limits of what you'll permit yourself to achieve. Consider this. You will never outperform your internal sense of worthiness. If deep down you believe you deserve only crumbs from life's table, then abundance will forever remain just beyond your reach. Not because you lack talent or opportunity, but because you've programmed yourself to reject anything that contradicts your fundamental belief about what you deserve. This is where separation becomes essential. Before God blesses you with abundance, He'll separate you from the artificial limitations you've accepted. These limitations weren't placed on you by the divine. You constructed them yourself, brick by brick, through years of negative programming and false conclusions drawn from temporary setbacks. Look at your current thinking. Do you operate from abundance or scarcity? The abundance mindset says, There is more than enough for everyone, including me. The scarcity mindset whispers, better grab what you can. There's not enough to go around. One perspective opens you to blessings. The other ensures you'll always feel impoverished, regardless of your bank balance. Gratitude is the fertile soil in which abundance takes root. When you're truly grateful for what you currently possess, you demonstrate readiness for greater blessings. The universe responds not to your wants, but to your level of appreciation. This isn't mystical thinking. It's practical psychology. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, training your mind to recognize abundance rather than lack. The separation principle works like this. To receive uncommon blessings, you must be willing to endure uncommon challenges. Temporary discomfort is the price of lasting elevation. When you find yourself suddenly alone, facing opposition, or navigating unfamiliar territory, recognize these experiences not as punishment, but as preparation. The biblical Joseph was separated from his family through betrayal and imprisonment before his elevation to leadership. This pattern repeats throughout history. Separation precedes significance. Developing wealth consciousness means becoming comfortable with prosperity. Many good people unconsciously sabotage their success because wealth feels foreign, even threatening to their identity. They fear success will change them or that others will judge them negatively. This discomfort must be confronted and released before true abundance can flow. Your beliefs about money, success, and worthiness were likely formed before you had any critical thinking skills. Examine these beliefs now with adult wisdom. Are they serving your highest purpose? Do they align with your true potential? Be ruthless in discarding limitations that no longer fit the person you're becoming. Remember, abundance isn't merely financial. It encompasses health, relationships, creativity, and spiritual fulfillment. When you align your self-image with success in these areas, you create a magnetic force that draws corresponding experiences into your life. You are worthy of abundance by divine design. This truth exists independent of your current circumstances or past disappointments. Let this knowledge separate you from the masses who settle for less, positioning you to receive the blessings that have been waiting for you all along. Lesson 3. The Power of Purpose. Finding your definite chief aim. The ship that sails with no destination in mind may travel vast distances across the open sea, but will never arrive anywhere of significance. So it is with the life that drifts without purpose. The difference between the person who achieves greatness and the one who merely exists can be distilled to a single factor, a definite chief aim, that guides their every decision and action. Consider for a moment what happens when you rise each morning. Do you begin your day with clarity about what you're truly building with your life? Or do you simply respond to whatever demands your attention first? The individual who succeeds magnificently has separated themselves from the common habit of directionless living. Your purpose is that singular flame that illuminates your path when confusion surrounds you. It becomes the standard against which you measure every opportunity, relationship, and commitment. When you discover this purpose, your unique assignment in this world, you'll find that decisions which once seemed difficult become remarkably clear. The discovery of your definite chief aim often begins with a simple question. What work would you do if all jobs paid exactly the same? Where do your natural talents intersect with the needs you observe in the world around you? In that intersection lies the seed of your purpose. But mere discovery isn't enough. The power of purpose is unleashed when you commit it to paper with deadlines attached. Something miraculous happens when thoughts become words on a page. Goals written with conviction carry an energy that spoken words cannot match. They become a contract with yourself that engages both your conscious and subconscious mind in their achievement. The greatest purposes extend beyond mere financial reward. While profit is necessary and worthwhile, meaning transcends money, the people who change their world are driven by purposes greater than personal gain. They seek to solve problems, lift others, create beauty, or advance knowledge. Their work becomes a calling rather than merely a career. This discovery of purpose inevitably leads to separation. You'll find that the path aligned with your definite chief aim often diverges from the crowded highways traveled by the majority. This separation requires courage, the willingness to stand apart and pursue your distinct vision even when others question your direction. To maintain your course, develop daily purpose rituals that reinforce your chief aim. Begin each day by reading your written goals. Visualize their completion. Ask yourself what actions you can take today that move you closer to their achievement. These simple habits create momentum that compounds over time. The person with purpose walks differently. They possess a quiet confidence that comes from knowing their direction. While others scatter their energy across countless activities, the purposeful individual concentrates their force like a laser beam, cutting through obstacles that stop the unfocused person. This concentration of effort explains why some accomplish in a few years what others fail to achieve in a lifetime. Your definite chief aim awaits your discovery and commitment. Find it, write it, pursue it daily, and watch as it separates you from aimless living and leads you toward the unique blessings prepared for your life. Lesson 4. The Wilderness Before the Promise. Throughout the annals of human history, there exists a pattern so consistent that one might call it a universal law. Before any great achievement, before any significant blessing or breakthrough, there comes a period of separation, what I call the wilderness experience, what I call the wilderness experience. Consider, if you will, the lives of history's most accomplished individuals. Abraham left the familiar surroundings of Ur before becoming the father of nations. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before leading his people to freedom. Even in modern times, the greatest inventors, business leaders, and visionaries experienced periods of isolation, failure, or testing before their ultimate triumph. This pattern is no coincidence, my friend. It is by design. The wilderness, that period of separation from comfort, from the crowd, from the known, serves a purpose more profound than we typically recognize in the moment. The wilderness strips away what is unnecessary. In the quiet solitude, away from the constant noise of ordinary life, you begin to hear your own thoughts with remarkable clarity. Priorities align themselves properly. Values become crystal clear. The wilderness brings focus. Many avoid this necessary discomfort at all costs. They cling to familiar limitations rather than embrace the unknown potential that lies beyond. But remember this, no butterfly emerges without the chrysalis stage. The caterpillar must be willing to dissolve completely before transformation occurs. Your wilderness may take many forms. Perhaps it's the loss of relationships that no longer serve your highest good. Maybe it's leaving a comfortable but unfulfilling career. It could be geographical relocation or simply the mental separation from limiting beliefs. Whatever form it takes, understand that this separation is not punishment. It is preparation. In the wilderness, your character is forged. Just as steel must endure the heat of the furnace to become strong, your resolve, dedication, and faith must be tested to develop resilience. These qualities cannot be manufactured in comfort. They require the resistance of challenge. You will face the temptation to return to what you knew before. The Israelites, even after witnessing miraculous deliverance, longed for the familiarity of Egypt's slavery rather than press forward toward the promised land. This pull toward the familiar is natural but must be recognized for what it is, a test of your commitment to growth. Take heart in recognizing the markers of progress along your journey. The wilderness may feel barren, but it is preparing you for abundance. Each challenge overcome, each lesson learned, each moment of clarity. These are signposts indicating your development. Remember always, the wilderness is not your destination. It is your preparation. It is not a detour. It is the way. The very fact that you are experiencing separation may be the surest sign that you are on the path to your greatest blessing. The wilderness does not prevent the promise. It precedes it. Your separation today is setting the stage for your elevation tomorrow. Embrace it with quiet confidence, knowing that this too serves the greater purpose of your life. Lesson 5. The Harvest Law. Ladies and gentlemen, There exists in this magnificent universe a law so fundamental, so unyielding, that it governs every aspect of human achievement. I call it the harvest law, the principle that we invariably reap what we sow. This is not merely a pleasant metaphor, but a universal truth, as reliable as gravity itself. Consider the farmer who understands this law intimately. He knows that corn seeds yield corn, wheat seeds produce wheat. Never in the history of agriculture has a farmer planted corn and harvested oranges. The universe simply doesn't operate that way. Similarly, the seeds of your daily actions, thoughts, and decisions will, with absolute certainty, produce harvests of the same kind in your life. The quality of your seed matters tremendously. A wise gardener selects only the finest specimens, knowing that excellence begets excellence. When you commit to excellence in your work, relationships, and personal development, you are planting premium seeds that cannot help but yield superior results. Mediocrity, by contrast, consistently produces mediocre returns. This is why the separated individual insists on excellence, even when no one is watching. Equally important is the quantity of your seed. The multiplication principle is built into the very fabric of creation. Plant one kernel of corn, and you'll receive a stalk with multiple ears, each containing hundreds of kernels. This is the miracle of increase. When you give generously of your time, talent, and resources, you activate this same principle in your life. The separated person understands that scarcity thinking leads to scarcity thinking leads to scarcity results. Now, patience during the growing season separates the successful from the merely wishful. Every harvest has its appointed time. The farmer who digs up his seeds every day to check their progress will never see them mature. Many potentially successful people abandon their dreams just before the breakthrough moment because they lack patience. Remember, friends, there are seasons in life, and understanding timing is critical to achievement. You must also prepare the soil of opportunity. Seeds cast upon rocky, unprepared ground yield little fruit. This means creating conditions in your life conducive to success. Surrounding yourself with positive influences, acquiring necessary knowledge, and cultivating helpful relationships. The separated individual takes full responsibility for creating fertile conditions in their life. Finally, you must separate yourself from short-term thinking. The harvest mentality embraces delayed gratification, understanding that the most valuable rewards require time to develop. While others chase immediate pleasure, the successful person plants seeds today that will yield abundance tomorrow. This separation, from impatience, from mediocrity, from scarcity thinking, precedes your greatest blessings. By aligning yourself with the harvest law, you position yourself for an abundance beyond imagination. Nature rewards those who respect her principles. Remember, the universe is perfectly fair. It gives you not what you want, not what you hope for, but precisely what you plant. This is the inescapable, magnificent harvest law. Lesson 6. Mental transformation, renewing your mind daily. The greatest battlefield you will ever encounter lies not on some distant shore, but between your ears. This battleground of thought determines the course of your life more certainly than any external circumstance ever could. I've spent decades observing the difference between those who succeed and those who merely exist, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, mental transformation precedes every worthwhile achievement. Your mind operates much like a fertile garden. Whatever seeds you plant will, in time, produce a harvest of corresponding circumstances. Plant seeds of doubt, worry, and limitation, and you will harvest a life of the same. But plant seeds of possibility, expectation, and determined purpose, and you will reap achievements beyond your current imagination. Each day, your thoughts create electrical patterns in your brain, forming highways of habit. The wonderful news is that you possess the extraordinary ability to create new mental pathways through deliberate, conscious effort. When you replace thoughts of lack with visions of abundance, when you substitute worry with expectation, you literally rewire your brain for success. The most successful people I've encountered share a common practice. They bookend their days with powerful programming. In those precious moments between sleep and wakefulness, both morning and evening, your mind exists in an impressionable state. Use these golden minutes to impress upon your consciousness the truths and outcomes you wish to experience. Speak aloud your intentions. Review your written goals. Imagine, with all the vividness you can muster, the achievement of your definite chief aim. The language you use, particularly in addressing yourself, creates your reality. Champions never indulge in self-deprecation. They never say, "I always mess this up," or "I'm terrible with money." They speak with authority about who they are becoming. "I am disciplined. I make wise financial decisions. I attract opportunity." Your subconscious mind accepts these declarations without question, working tirelessly to bring them into physical reality. Visualization remains one of the most underutilized tools for personal transformation. What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Olympic athletes use visualization to prepare for victory. Successful executives mentally rehearse important presentations. Before you experience any triumph in the outer world, you must first experience it vividly within. This process of mental transformation requires separation. You must separate yourself from the mass of humanity that drifts without mental discipline. You must distinguish yourself from those who consume whatever thoughts are served to them by circumstance, media, or the opinions of others. This separation may feel uncomfortable at first. Friends may question your new patterns of thought and speech. Old habits will resist being replaced. But this separation is necessary. For just as a caterpillar must separate from its familiar existence to become a butterfly, you too must undergo this mental metamorphosis to become the person worthy of your highest aspirations. The journey of mental transformation is not merely about achieving external success, but about becoming the person who naturally attracts such success. Your mind is the control center of your life's direction. Guard it, train it, transform it, and watch as your external world begins to mirror the new reality you've established within. Lesson 7. The Separation Principle. Have you ever noticed that when a sculptor begins his work, the first thing he must do is separate his chosen marble from the quarry? Before Michelangelo could create his masterpiece David, he had to select and remove that specific block of marble from its surroundings. This is the separation principle at work. Throughout history, every person destined for greatness has experienced a time of separation. Abraham was separated from his homeland, Joseph from his family, Moses from Egypt, and David from ordinary shepherding. This separation wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The separation principle works because it removes you from the familiar environments and relationships that keep you tethered to your current level of achievement. Just as a rocket must break free from Earth's gravitational pull to reach orbit, you too must break free from the gravitational pull of mediocrity that surrounds you. When God has designed you for a specific purpose, He will orchestrate circumstances that separate you from comfort and conformity. This separation often feels like rejection or isolation. You may find yourself suddenly disconnected from former friends, removed from familiar surroundings, or facing unexpected changes in your work or relationships. These are not random events. They are divine interventions, designed to prepare you for greater blessing. Consider the process of refining precious metals. The refiner must separate the gold from the ore before its true value can be realized. The heat of the furnace creates this necessary separation, and only through this process does the gold become pure and valuable. Your times of trial are your refining fire. What separates the successful 5 from the 95 who merely exist? It's their willingness to be separated from the crowd. The crowd follows the path of least resistance. The crowd chooses entertainment over education, comfort over growth, and security over risk. When you begin to think differently, act differently, and pursue different goals, you will naturally separate from the crowd. This separation creates space for new growth. A gardener understands that for a plant to thrive, it must be pruned. The cutting away of certain branches allows for stronger, more fruitful growth. Similarly, certain relationships, habits, and environments must be pruned from your life to make room for your expansion. The separation principle often operates through three distinct phases: separation from places, separation from people, and separation from people, and separation from past thinking. Each phase prepares you for greater responsibility and larger blessing. The discomfort you feel during these phases isn't destruction, it's direction. Remember, your willingness to be separated today determines your success tomorrow. Embrace the process. When you find yourself suddenly alone, use that solitude for reflection and preparation. When relationships change, recognize the opportunity for new connections aligned with your purpose. When familiar doors close, look expectantly for the new doors opening before you. The separation principle isn't about isolation. It's about preparation. Your time of separation is merely the prelude to your time of elevation. What looks like rejection now will reveal itself as protection later. What feels like loneliness now is actually the quiet before your announcement. Your separation isn't your story's end. It's your true beginning. Lesson 8. The Power of Separation. What a privilege it is to speak to you about one of life's most misunderstood principles. Separation is not punishment. It is preparation. It is preparation. Just as the sculptor must separate the unnecessary stone from the masterpiece within, so must you be willing to be separated from that which limits your potential. Consider the eagle. When teaching its young to fly, the mother eagle systematically removes the soft materials from the nest, leaving only the thorns and twigs. Uncomfortable, certainly, but this discomfort serves a magnificent purpose. It compels the eaglets to leave the nest and discover their wings. The temporary discomfort of separation leads to the discovery of their true nature. You, too, were born to soar, but you cannot discover your wings in the comfortable nest of mediocrity surrounded by those who would keep you grounded in the ordinary. All throughout history, those whom God has mightily blessed were first separated. Abraham was separated from his homeland. Joseph was separated from his family. Moses was separated from Egypt. David was separated to the fields before he was elevated to the throne. In each case, separation preceded elevation. The masses misunderstand this principle entirely. They cling desperately to the familiar, even when the familiar has proven unfruitful. They resist the very separation that would lead to their transformation. Remember this truth. The caterpillar must separate from its former existence to become the butterfly. There is no other way. Your separation may take many forms. It might mean leaving behind certain relationships that anchor you to lesser versions of yourself. It might mean abandoning thought patterns that have kept you circling the same mountain year after year. It might mean physically relocating to an environment that nurtures your growth rather than stunts it. Let me be clear. Separation is rarely comfortable. When gold is purified, it must endure the heat of the refiner's fire. The process separates the pure gold from the dross. Without this separation, the gold cannot reach its highest value. You are more precious than gold, and your purification process, your separation, is designed to reveal your true worth. Consider your current circumstances. Are you being called to separate from something? Perhaps old habits, limiting beliefs, toxic relationships, an environment that stifles your potential? Listen carefully to that still, small voice urging you toward higher ground. The world is filled with those who refuse their separation and consequently miss their elevation. Don't make this tragic mistake. Don't make this tragic mistake. Embrace your season of separation with courage and faith, knowing it is the necessary prelude to your blessing. Remember, the seed must be separated from the package, buried in the dark ground, and die to its former state before it can produce a harvest. Your separation is not your destruction. It is your necessary transformation. So stand tall during this time. Your willingness to be separated now is precisely what will distinguish you later. Before God blesses you mightily, He will separate you completely. This is not a punishment. It is your preparation for greatness. Lesson 9. The Separation of Excellence, Rising Above Mediocrity. The average person has no concept of what it truly means to rise above the ordinary. They remain content with the status quo, moving along with the crowd, accepting what life hands them without question. But you are not average, nor were you created to be. Let me share with you a powerful truth. Before God blesses you with abundance, He will first separate you from the multitude. This separation isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the divine method of setting you apart for something extraordinary. Consider a diamond. Before it becomes the precious gem we admire, it must first be separated from tons of ordinary rock and dirt. It must endure tremendous pressure and precise cutting. The very process that makes it valuable is the process of separation. The same principle applies to your life. The separation process may feel uncomfortable, even painful at times. You might find yourself standing alone when others take the easy path. You might be misunderstood when you pursue excellence while others settle for good enough. This separation is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. When Moses was being prepared to lead, he spent 40 years separated in the wilderness. Joseph endured years of separation in prison before his elevation to leadership. David was anointed king but spent years hiding in caves before taking the throne. Each separation experience was essential to their development. What does this mean for you? It means that when you find yourself standing alone, take heart. When your principles separate you from the crowd, rejoice. When your standards cause others to leave your circle, be encouraged. This separation is not rejection, it's selection. Excellence always separates. It's the nature of rising above. The moment you decide to pursue your highest potential, you automatically begin the process of separation. Your thoughts become different. Your habits become different. Your results become different. Remember this. Eagles fly alone at high altitudes, while pigeons flock together on the ground. Eagles were built for the heights. So were you. During this separation season, maintain your standards. Guard your mind against the temptation to rejoin the crowd for comfort's sake. The comfort of mediocrity is a trap that has ensnared many potential champions. Instead, use this time of separation to sharpen your skills, deepen your character, and strengthen your resolve. Read while others watch television. Save while others plan. Plan while others play. The temporary separation from common activities creates the uncommon life. The world tries to shape you into conformity, but your greatest contribution will come from your uniqueness. The very qualities that make you different are often the qualities that will make you successful. So embrace the separation process with gratitude. It is preparing you for blessings that the average person cannot handle. It is developing in you the character needed for sustained success. It is protecting you from premature elevation that might ultimately harm you. Before God blesses you, He will separate you. This is not just a spiritual principle. It's a universal law of achievement. The separated life is the blessed life. The distinct path leads to the distinguished destination. Lesson 10. The power of complete separation. The greatest mystery of human achievement lies not in the attainment itself, but in the preparation that precedes it. I've observed throughout my studies of successful men and women that true blessing, true achievement, comes only after a period of complete separation. True achievement. What do I mean by separation? It's the courage to stand alone when others continue in the comfort of the crowd. It's the willingness to abandon old habits when those around you cling to familiarity. It's the determination to think differently when collective thinking offers the path of least resistance. Consider the caterpillar. Before it transforms into a butterfly, it must completely isolate itself within the chrysalis. During this period of separation, the old form dissolves entirely before the new form emerges. This is not merely a change, it is a complete metamorphosis. Your life follows this same natural law. Before you can soar to new heights, you must be willing to separate yourself from the gravitational pull of average thinking and mediocre expectations. Look at Abraham, who had to leave his homeland before receiving his blessing. Consider Joseph, who endured the separation of the pit and prison before his elevation to power. Study the life of Moses, who spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading the Israelites to freedom. The pattern is unmistakable and universal. The moment you decide to separate yourself from ordinary thinking is the moment you begin your journey toward extraordinary results. This separation is rarely comfortable. Friends may misunderstand you. Family members might question your decisions. Colleagues could interpret your new direction as rejection of their ways. Stand firm. The temporary discomfort of separation is the admission price to a life of significance. What exactly must you separate from? Separate from time, wasting activities that drain your energy and distract from your purpose. Separate from relationships that anchor you to your past rather than propel you toward your future. Separate from negative thought patterns that whisper impossible when opportunity knocks. Remember this, the level of blessing you receive will be directly proportional to the degree of separation you're willing to endure. Some separate partially and receive partial results. Others separate completely and receive complete transformation. The choice is yours, but understand that half measures produce half results. When you truly separate yourself for higher purpose, you create a vacuum that the universe rushes to fill with resources, relationships, and opportunities aligned with your new direction. This is not mystical thinking. It is the practical application of focused energy. The strength to maintain your separation comes from clearly envisioning what awaits on the other side. See it, feel it, feel it. Live as though your desired future is already present reality. Total separation requires courage. Few demonstrate. That's precisely why significant achievement remains rare. The crowd prefers the comfort of conformity to the temporary isolation of innovation. Will you be among the rare few who accept the challenge of complete separation? If so, prepare yourself for blessing beyond your highest expectations, for the universal law stands unchanged throughout history. Before God blesses you, He will separate you.
Lesson 11. The magnificent value of separation.
This is Earl Nightingale, and today I want to talk to you about something of tremendous importance, the magnificent value of separation. Every great achievement in human history has come from someone who was willing to separate themselves from the common, the ordinary, and the average. The Wright brothers separated themselves from those who said flight was impossible. Edison separated himself from conventional thinking about electricity and light, and you must be willing to separate yourself if you wish to achieve uncommon success. Separation isn't punishment, it's preparation. Just as gold must be separated from ore to reveal its brilliance, you too must undergo a process of refinement. Think about it. When a sculptor creates a masterpiece, what does he do? He chips away everything that doesn't belong. He separates the unnecessary from the essential. Your life works the same way. God cannot pour new blessings into a vessel that's already filled with limiting beliefs, negative associations, and comfort, zone thinking. Something must be removed before something greater can be added. Consider the farmer who understands that pruning, a form of separation, is essential for greater fruit production. The temporary pain of cutting away branches leads to abundant harvest. Similarly, the separation you experience today is preparing you for the abundance of tomorrow.
Many people mistake separation for rejection. They feel abandoned or forgotten when relationships change, opportunities fall through, or familiar patterns are disrupted. But I want you to see separation differently, not as rejection, but as divine redirection. Remember, every no is making room for a greater yes.
Look at Joseph in ancient times. His separation from his family through betrayal, his separation from freedom through false imprisonment, these weren't punishments, but necessary preparations for his ultimate purpose of saving nations from famine. The very brothers who sold him into slavery would later bow before him in his position of authority.
What separations are you experiencing right now? Perhaps certain friendships have fallen away. Maybe a job opportunity didn't materialize as expected. These aren't failures. They're invitations to something better.
Separation also creates clarity. When you step away from the noise of common opinion, you can hear the wisdom of your own thoughts. When you disconnect from constant distractions, your purpose comes into focus. This is why periods of solitude have preceded nearly every great spiritual revelation and scientific breakthrough in history. The separation process often feels uncomfortable, sometimes even painful. But remember, pain is not your enemy. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is simply the sensation experienced when weaknesses are being transformed into strengths. The butterfly must struggle against the cocoon to develop the wing strength necessary for flight. Your struggles are developing something in you that could not be developed any other way. So embrace your separation. Welcome it. Understand that it's making room for your elevation. The very things that seem to be pushing you away from your comfort zone are actually pushing you toward your destiny. This is the magnificent value of separation. It's not the end of something good, but the beginning of something better. Lesson 12. Seeds of Greatness. Embracing your destiny. The journey we've taken together through these pages represents more than mere words on paper. It represents the blueprint for a life of significance, a roadmap to your greater self. And as we conclude our time together, I want to leave you with the most important principle of all. Within you, at this very moment, lie the seeds of greatness. Most people live their entire lives without ever discovering the giant that slumbers within them. They conform to the expectations of others. They shrink from the call to distinction, and they die with their music still in them. What a tragedy. What a loss to humanity when even one person fails to become what they might have been. But you are different. By reaching the end of this book, you've demonstrated something remarkable about yourself. You've shown a willingness to be separated, to stand apart from the crowd that drifts along without direction or purpose. This willingness is the first requirement for an extraordinary life. All achievement, all earned riches, all worthwhile outcomes begin with an idea. That idea, planted in the fertile soil of your mind and nourished with consistent attention, grows inevitably into its physical equivalent. This is the great law of the universe. We become what we think about. When God prepares to elevate you, He first separates you. Look throughout history and you'll find this pattern repeating with remarkable consistency. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading his people to freedom. Joseph endured the pit and the prison before the palace. Even the mighty oak tree grows in isolation, not in the crowded forest where sunlight cannot reach. Your period of separation is not punishment. It is preparation. It is during these times when you feel most alone that your character is being forged. The gold must endure the refiner's fire to reach its highest value. So, too, must you endure challenges that burn away what is common and reveal what is exceptional. Start today with a decision to accept your separation as a blessing. When others choose entertainment, choose education. When others choose complaint, choose gratitude. When others choose distraction, choose focus. These simple distinctions, practiced daily, will compound into extraordinary differences in your circumstances.
Write down your goals and review them daily. Speak words of faith over your future. Guard your mind against negativity as vigilantly as you would guard your home against an intruder. Associate with people who inspire you to greater heights rather than those who comfort you in mediocrity. The world does not need more people who simply fit in. The world desperately needs those brave souls who dare to stand out, who refuse conformity, who embrace their uniqueness with courage and conviction. That person is you.
Go now with this knowledge firmly planted in your consciousness. Your separation is evidence of your coming elevation. Your challenges are the training ground for your triumph. Your moments of solitude are preparing you for significance. The seeds of greatness are within you. Water them daily with faith. Nurture them with action. And watch with wonder as they grow into a life of blessing beyond anything you could ask or imagine.